This is a hip flexor strain, what we needed, and he's been had over a year, yeah?
Yes.
About a year. So the reason this is pulling is because of the glute medius and minimus. Okay, he's got no strength in this. He also has everything's just pulling in, so you're going to notice he's got barely any flexibility going this way. Okay, the guy's a hurdler, keeps straining it because he doesn't have the strength to open himself up. So what we really need to do is, this is the first exercise. Really, for him, to fix him, it's really going to only be about 2 exercises. There's more than that, but those 2 are really the keys to 100% getting him to where he needs to be. I'm going to be able to fix him probably the next 4 to 6 weeks. He's going to have no issues. And he's had hip flexor pulls for over a year. All right, so 4 to 6 weeks, he's going to be absolutely fine. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to just keep a nice straight line here. Bend your knees up 1/4 of the way, so his heels are in line with his butt. Then we're going to take this, we're going to move this over onto here, and we're going to put this like this. Now, I'm going to touch his knee to the floor. I'm going to establish his hip angle about 3 inches forward. The client, if they're super tight, maybe they have to come back a little bit to feel, we're trying to feel this spot here. All right, so I'm going to establish that hip angle with his hips forward. Now, lift. Right to there. But look at how much, he wants to go back this way. We're going to keep him at an angle here. We're creating that medial rotation of the hip when we keep this here. When he rolls back, lateral rotation, then he's not going to get into the muscle. So we're here, go ahead, lift. That's about as high as he can lift. If he lifts any higher, go lift as high as you can. Look, it's impossible for him. So that's why he's pulling his hip flexor. He's got no medius strength, so the groin is just overtaking him. That's it. That's as high as he can go. And you feel right through this spot?
Yes.
Right there. If he feels it anywhere else, we're not getting any results. That's pretty good. Okay. So this is his father, okay? And what was your question that you had?
Yeah, I was asking in terms of how long does he hold it, or is it sets or anything like that?
So with that first exercise, he has to start by holding it because he has no range of motion. He can barely get that. If I keep that hip angled and he comes up, he can barely lift it off the floor. So he's just got to hold it till his range of motion improves. And then once he starts getting up a little bit, then he can start moving up and down with it. But there's no point because he doesn't have any range. Now, the next exercise, and this is what we're going to show you next, is this one here. Okay, we'll show you the position. But this one, some people will just hold this one, but he's gonna move with this one because he has a little bit more range on this exercise. So we're going to show you the setup here. The setup with this is, I want him close enough, like he's going to take his leg and bring it back behind his body like this. So I want him close enough so he's in this position right here. So see how he can grab, and now we're going to make sure that the heel, okay, is in line with the butt. That's pretty good. And I'm going to take a pad. I'm going to actually put it underneath his knee. And the way I figured this out was because then this creates more medial rotation. Okay, we're trying to get the minimus here. So we're trying to create medial rotation. Minimus hooks to the front of the hip head. So that's why this is really active. And then when he comes up, come up. First we're going to establish how high he can go. Go ahead, lift. As high as you go. Do you see how hard that is? If I let go, look at what the hip does. The hip moves back. So he can keep his hip square. So now keep your hip square. There's Rocco attacking someone outside. That's as high as he can lift. Okay, go ahead, up and down. That's it. And then slow on the way down. And the way down is where you really want to concentrate on feeling. Up. And I'm trying to feel it in the exact same spot. It's just deeper underneath. Feeling it? It's burning?
Yes.
Okay. He can barely lift, see? But this is what, stop. This is only 5 pounds. He wants to be able to do 15, 20 pounds with this. It's only 5 pounds. That's how weak this is, and that's his range of motion. That's why he's pulling everything. Everything's just internally rotated in. He has nothing this way because of the strength of the glute. That's what's going to open him up. Some people are hypermobile. It's the opposite. They have no strength in their glute, but they're just naturally flexible and they can open up, and they end up with the same problem. So it's hit or miss with certain clients depending on their flexibility level. Get this heel right on here. You see? Go ahead. That's square. Go ahead, up and down. And if you can't touch the knee, that's fine, but we got to keep that square. If I keep on this side, if I keep his hips square, go ahead, down, he can, it's hard for him to touch. Go ahead, up. So that's normal. Some people start, and if I really square their hips up, down, that's it right there, and then up. On the other side, he's got a little more range internally, so that's fine, but over time, it's going to drop down. But the main thing is, and we need to get this heel a little bit more in line with the butt here. Now go ahead. Down, right to there. Feel? That's your connection. If he goes any lower, he loses it. So he's got to go to there. But you see how he doesn't touch? Some people will start even more here, and they'll be able to get it up higher this way. So it just depends. But it's really where you can connect and keep your hips square. And now he's starting to get a little lower. Good. Down. Yep. Good. Now it's starting to drop. So as time goes on with the set, but he really, look it out. He needs to go ahead up with the knee, up. He needs to be able to get the knee to the top of the bench. That's his limit of range of motion. So you can really see why the hip flexor, now it's starting to drop. You can really see now why the hip flexor is getting affected. He just has no strength in his glutes. So the body doesn't want to open up. Okay, rest. That's good. So one mistake you're making is, so see how this heel, look, it's matched up to here. So move over this way. Keep going. He's got to get this heel in line with the center line. And he's got to be able to grab his knee. So get in closer. Yep. Good. That's better angle there. So he was all the way out here. So slide it back. You see that? Now you're good. Go ahead. So that's another important angle you can't miss. You got to have that kind of in line with the center. Yep, right there. That's good. Go ahead, up. Yeah. Down. Good. Good. See how that hip's not moving? That's what we want. This hip doesn't move back. It doesn't move forward. It's just straight up and down like it's on a wall. Okay, that's good. Rest. So this guy's a smart gentleman here. He's got another question for us. What's the question?
Yeah, so I wanted to know, as he progresses through the weeks and he gets stronger, what is the sign that it's time to move the weight up that he's currently lifting?
So to answer that question is two things. One is I'm looking at range of motion. Like I said, on this exercise here, he's got to get his knee just below the bottom of the bench when he's coming up. Okay, he's got to, before he goes up in weight, okay, we've really got to establish range of motion here. So if he goes, he wants to be able to get his knee up to there without his hip move. Well, his hip just moved back an inch. So that's square. So he's only going to be able to use 5 pounds right now until I really get this range. So once I get this range improved, just below the bottom of the edge of the bench, he can keep his hip square. He's feeling the right spot. Then I would say maybe he's going to be able to probably do that in 2 weeks. Then I would say we're going to go from 5 to probably 7 pounds. And then once he gets to this, then he knows now how to feel in the right spot. So now all you do to go up in weight is you just keep basing it off of where you feel it. So he starts feeling it here, and he's using 15 pounds. We know 15 pounds is too much, but first establish the range, then start going up with the weight. So here's another example. If I keep his hips square, go ahead, drop the knee. He can't. Do you see that gap? Now come up. That's his range. That's where he's starting. And down. And up. And down. So for him, it's probably better because he's got no range just to hold it. Okay?
Up.
I wouldn't move with it because then you're moving your hip. So he just has no range. But see that gap? Over time, he's going to improve that gap. But he's just going to start there. Again, we're trying to feel it through this section here. If I squeeze my butt together, there's that dimple. You're trying to feel it in that half moon shape right here. Feel it here? Now, do you feel when you move up and down?
Yeah.
Okay. Just keep the range really short. You just got to keep it there. Now he's not moving his hip down and up. That's it. It's literally like an inch or two.
What should it be?
You should be able to touch here.
Mm-hmm.
Touch. See how physically he can't,
Yeah.
and you should be able to get it to the bottom edge of the bench. Okay, you just don't have any range. So this isn't going to be the main exercise at Fix'em. It's going to have very little to do with fixing, but what we're going to do is we're going to get into the inside of the hamstring, the membranosus. So you got the membranosus, you have the glute medius and minimus. Okay, and then you have the adductor chain. So those all affect medial rotation and they're all interconnected. So we really want to just get this piece strong on him along with the medius and minimus to take the pressure off the other medial rotator, the adductor chain here. So we're going to work these two chains. I'm not going to do any groin exercises with him, not right now. Once I see he's starting to improve with his glute exercises, then we're going to add that on. So probably maybe week 3 or 4, I'll start strengthening up his adductor chain once he has support from the glutes. If I try to start strengthening his adductors, okay, and the hip flexors, he's just going to end up hurting it, pulling it, and making it worse. Why? Because he doesn't have support from the glute. So a lot of people are going to go, oh wow, this client has an adductor strain, I need to strengthen that. No, that's the strength. That's the muscle that's been overworked, and then it ended up becoming the weakness because it didn't have support from the glute medius and minimus. That's already strong, and you just got to rebuild the tissue. We got to get the weaknesses. So again, this isn't a major thing, but this is we're just going to come up, we're going to keep that pie shape, we're going to tuck, go ahead. We're going to squeeze into his glutes. I'm going to keep your head off the floor more. Yeah, keep an inch apart here. Good. Squeeze those glutes and squeeze into the hamstrings. You feel that?
Yes.
It should feel like it's going to cramp. Feel?
Yes.
Okay. And he's shaking because this is just a weak part of the hamstring. People do hamstring curls and they turn out like this, okay? And you just work the outside head of the hamstring. Well, that's not going to get into the medial rotation portion, which interconnects with the glute medius and minimus to take pressure off of the adductor chain here. So we have to establish that. Just go up and down, 15, 20 reps. So here's another client with the setup. Look at this. Look at how far off that foot angle is, right? We want this centered. So he's got to move this back here. Now, see? So that's a big mistake that people make. Okay, so you got to get that heel in line with the center. Okay, that's good. And now go ahead and hit the exercise.
It seems like it's a little bit lower now.
What's that?
Okay.
Got it? Good. Up and down. Just don't let that hip move. Okay, that's good. So if he does this with the feet straight, go ahead, up. Just stay, yeah, just freeze. How does it feel? Easy, right?
Yes.
So he says easy. So we move this in here, we create that triangle shape, we put it on the membranosus, squeeze, stay right there. Look, he's shaking. Look at it, look at the wobbling of the knees. Get in a little closer so they can see a wobble. Yeah. Right there, just freeze. Look at how much he's shaking. Keep it in an inch. Okay, this is why he doesn't have any. Again, you got to work all these medial rotators here to take this medial rotator, the adductor chain, to take the pressure off of that. They're all interconnected, but this is flaring up because it doesn't have support from these two muscle groups of the chain. Okay, rest. He's got another question.
Yeah, so while we're at home doing our exercises, I wanted to know how many reps does he do, and also how often?
So I'm only going to start him with these 3 exercises. We will get into squatting, okay? We will get into adductor work, but he's going to get irritated because this is going on so long. So I got to get the medius and minimus and that inside membranosus to a level within the next 3 weeks, okay? And then we're going to start adding on. But what I want him to do is, since it's only 3 exercises, I'm going to have him do these 3 times per week. Okay, this week and next week, and then and I'm going to have him do everything's between 3 sets of 15 to 20 reps. However, when he's holding it, like on this exercise here, when he was down there, when he's holding it, he's going to hold it for 30 to 40 seconds, around there. And then once I see that he's accumulated enough volume, he's starting to open up, then generally what I do is these exercises twice a week. And that's pretty much all he's going to need in order to get it to another level. So look, this is back. Go ahead, let it roll back. That's back.
Okay.
This is square. Don't let it move.
Okay.
So see how he wants to be able to get it here. All right. He physically can't. Now, if his hip's square, go lift up as high as you can. This is where he's trying to get to. Look. Okay, back down. And up. So that's what I'm saying. He's just got to be able to open these hips. Okay, rest. That's good. Normally, he's working with me twice a week here for the next 2 weeks. So normally I would only have people do it twice a week because their form's going to break down. But since I'm seeing him, he can do something over the weekend. I know his form's going to be correct, and then he's going to do 2 the next week, and then he's going to do a 3rd on his own. Most people, though, if I start them out online, I just tell them twice a week, because if I'm only seeing them once and their form's off another 2 times, they're going to end up getting hurt. But because I can perfect his form, I'm not worried about that. And also because he's younger. If you're 50 or 60 or 40, you try to do some of these things and you're doing more volume on it, he's going to be so responsive because he's young. So twice a week is normally what I start people out with, just so people know. This guy just keeps asking so many questions. Go ahead.
So I asked, so my son Matt is in the middle of track season, but we want to correct this issue and make sure it doesn't come back. So I asked during the time of us rehabbing, should he shut down or just go and just jog in the meantime?
He's not ready to do I don't want him to do any type of running or take any type of risk right now. Until I see his glutes get to where I want, okay? And until he passes the test with the right weight load, we know he only feels in that spot. Then I'm gonna start taking some risks. Okay, now he can start jogging. Now he can start running at 70 or 80%. I'm basing it all off those first 2 glute exercises. That's what's gonna tell me when he's ready to stretch it, when he's ready to start strengthening up the adductor. So that's the answer is don't take any risk right now until we get the glutes to where I want.
Matt has been dealing with his groin issue for over a year now before we were able to get to you. And so those 4 to 6 weeks, it seems to have done the trick. So he's back to normal. He's jumping pain-free. And I'll let Matt tell you how his first time back in a triple jump went.
In triple jump, I ended up getting a 2-foot PR. So I went from jumping 40 feet, 1 3/4 inches, to jumping 42 feet, 4 3/4 inches.
And that was just his first meet back. So that was at the district's competition, which he qualified for the next round, which is going to the regional for AAU. And after regionals, hopefully he'll qualify, and I'm sure he will. He'll be jumping in the Junior Olympics at the end of July. So we'll check back in, let you know how he did, and thanks again for all your help.